podcast. I'm Isabelle Broidigam, Director of Marketing and Sales at Custom Built Designer Modeling. And today I'm joined by Michael Flory, founder, CEO, and of course, my dad. And we are going to dive into a fun topic today, people pleasing.
So excited to be here. This is going to be a really fun one.
Yeah, this is going to be a fun one because as you're growing a business, people are the business, right?
Right.
And so it can be really easy to want to please people and to jump in, overpromise, end up under delivering, things like that.
Or you overpromise and then you don't go home for 3 days because you're at the office trying to get everything done so you can please that client.
Yes.
Yeah.
And this is exactly why we're talking about this
Yeah.
topic.
Creates a lot of tension, right?
It does.
Yeah.
In your life.
Yeah. Yeah.
So how have you experienced people pleasing over the years?
Well, I mean, going back to the very beginning, like you were saying, you want to sell a deal,
Mm-hmm.
so and if you're in this position where like, oh, I don't have enough work, then you start to get a little bit desperate, and, one of the worst things, when you have salespeople that have skinny kids, that's an issue. That was one of my sales coaches' earliest things. Well, because what happens when a salesperson doesn't have any sales or a business doesn't have any sales, we start doing things that we wouldn't normally do because it puts us into a triggered state. And then we start acting out of that triggered state. And we start, I like to kind of think of it as becoming inauthentic with
Yeah.
myself, meaning that my core value is family focus, but I made so many promises to clients that I had to work 20 hours a day in order to fulfill those promises.
And I couldn't come home to my family, or I couldn't get my workouts in to stay healthy and live a long life and all those things.
And so I start telling myself stories around, well, I have to please the clients, or I should have done this. We call those weak words.
Yeah.
But yeah, those are the realities of when you're building a business and you don't know how to do something. So another thing is just kind of like the level of job. So when we first started, I think maybe our average job was around 10,000, then it grew to 25,000, then it grew to 50,000, then it grew to 100,000, and like I was comfortable when it was at 25,000. Or the other thing is the number of jobs. You might have had 2 jobs going or 4 jobs going, or originally you're just doing one job.
Yeah.
You'd finish that job and you'd go to the next job, But then as you're scaling, especially a construction business, it's like you got to have one job going and then you got to have another job getting started, and it's just you. And so all of those things would put me into positions where I had to kind of figure out how I was going to communicate with the next client. But then there was the client that was 3 weeks down the road, and I didn't know if we would be done with the other 2 before it. So then that communication got a little, so as the company grew, I would keep putting myself in these positions.
That point is so helpful because it's like, go back to the basics, right? People say that. And what I think that really means is there are basic skills, basic things that you learn, right? And when you're at one level, great, you master it. You go to the next level, more jobs, more business, more clients, whatever it is, right? More revenue. And you've got to remaster those skills at that next level, right?
Right. And I think the one I think would be really fun for us to get into today is that when it was just me, I'm just managing me, right?
Yeah.
But once the business starts growing, all of a sudden now there's people at the company. We went from 9 people, I think in 2017, to now we got plus 40 people, and we got a leadership team, and we have all these layers of leadership that we've put in place. And one of the things that I'm a firm believer on is that like at certain levels, like you're not ready to go there. Like if I say my goal is I want to sell another, $1 million this year, like I've never done it before.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm putting myself out there, and I'm going to a place that I'm going to create problems. I'm going to create failures in the system. And when you have that, and then you have the inner dynamic of our relationship, I think we could probably jump into this a little bit today, but like how our, people pleasing tendencies are trying to make everything always work and not fail, versus like we knew that we were going to this growth stage in our company, and we were going to be adding 3 new, most recent was, we had 3 new marketing people to our team, and you just took over as the director of sales and marketing. So you add all of these, and you're still managing projects from when you were in a team lead role. And so there's a lot going on your plate. Simultaneously, me as a leader, I'm now surrendering a seat that I've sat in for the entire length of the company. 25
Yeah.
years I've been the director of sales. I mean, it wasn't director of sales at the beginning. It was
Was
like,
the director of
I'm the sales
Michael.
guy, like I'm the owner, I'm the owner's out here selling me the deal, and people always like that, So when I
Yeah.
went from like the owner being out there to like, now we have a first salesperson, I remember like, I can't let go of this,
Yeah.
like, are they gonna promise something that we can't do? Or, are they gonna not do it the way we
And
thought it should be
yes,
done?
and we're gonna make it through it.
Yeah. So I mean, just a scenario with you, like, I think that there's parts and pieces where uh, I can make a lot of assumptions about what you're doing or what you're thinking, because you got a lot on your plate. I mean, a recent challenge we've had has been the calendar, right?
Yeah.
Uh,
On both of our ends. I mean, our schedules are just
well,
so
it's been on
full.
my end for 25 years. Like, we've known I've not been good at the calendar for 25 years, but you, on the other
Yeah,
hand,
I've
so tell
been
me about
really
that.
good. This is a good one. I've been really good at my calendar up until probably the last 8 months. In the last 8 months, maybe a little bit longer than that, last 8 months, a year. I mean, just with the level of growth that we've had, I am in meetings, can be in meetings for, 8, 9 hours a day, back to back to back to back.
Okay, so the growth that we've had, how about part of that growth is like you've taken on more responsibility?
Yeah,
Like, do you
100%.
always feel like that's the case, or did you feel like you had to become the director of sales, or did you decide you wanted to be the director of sales?
I decided I wanted it.
Yeah. But then when you get in that scenario and it's bigger than you, does it
Yeah.
sometimes feel like this is happening to
Yeah,
you?
where you just are like, this is just what is happening all of a sudden. You make a commitment and you don't know what that's going to fully look like. For instance, jumping into the director of sales role. I mean, we had a clear written POA,
Yeah.
position outline agreement, but in practice, we've never really had a director of sales outside of you, and you're the owner. And so it just has looked different. So it's like when you put somebody in that role for the first time, it's going to be bringing that position outline agreement to life, right? And then
Yeah.
walking that out and what does that look like in time commitments and how you show up and all of that stuff. So it's like jumping into a new seat in some aspects because you've never had a director of sales report to you either as the
No,
integrator.
I've never have. It's all new.
So,
So let's go back to the calendar. So
yeah.
what are some calendar conflicts? I'm thinking about the our one-to-ones, what
Yeah.
was happening on it. We have a weekly standing one-to-one meeting, and that's just really a opportunity for us as we use an accountability chart. It's not like an org chart, but it's
Mhm.
like you're accountable to these 5 things, and you kind of report up to me on those 5 things. And so we have a weekly standing one-to-one meeting. And what has happened over the last year with that one-to-one? Like, how consistent have we been?
I would say we've been probably 70% consistent.
And then
And then other times it's like, hey, this client meeting popped up, or, my meeting. This is what is most common for me is that my meeting before ran over. And
yeah,
I was like, I knew that you're flexible. Like, I can just pivot on that. But I did, one of the things that you and I have talked about is like changing our mindsets on what are the most important things in a week. And so for me, one of the most important things is our connection. So it takes some intentionality, especially when you're in a busy season, to take a step back and look at things from a different perspective. Because I know for me, I can get so tactical, and it's one of my gifts, right? And
yeah,
strengths. I can take in a ton of information and I can be like, this is what needs to be done with that information. And I'm just focused in doing it.
hmm,
But again, if I'm in back to back to back meetings all day, I'm not giving space to look at my calendar as a holistic view and what are the most important things and what can't be moved and what
yeah,
can be shifted. And so our one-to-one is one of the things that earlier on, like earlier this year, last year, I felt like this is something that I can just kind of shift and we can pivot, but then it ends up, rolling and we might not connect in the week. And that's a critical miss because I'm leading 2 critical departments for the company. You own the company, you're integrating, you're involved in both of those departments at this point to some extent. And so it is a very critical meeting for us to connect.
yeah. So in this scenario, you shift on me, or you're late to the meeting, or I mean, there's times when I have been too. I think over the last year, it's been more on your growth stage versus mine.
Yeah.
But there
But
are
there's been,
times
I think recently it's more been,
there are times when I'm late. But what does that do? So we have a meeting. let's say 11 o'clock and you don't show up right away,
Mhm.
or I don't show up right away, what does that do to you? How do you feel when I'm not there on time?
Well, I mean, it goes both way for both of us. I think
Well,
it's
just tell us what you feel.
well, it really depends on the frame of mind that I'm in.
Yeah, okay. Well, give us a couple of frames of the mind. Like, what are those
Because
frames?
some weeks, like, if I don't really need something from you or it's not, there's not a pressing urgent issue, I'm like, "Okay, like, I've got more time to get stuff done." So that can be my frame of mind sometimes.
So,
That's when I'm really tactical zoomed in, though.
but I think that's because you don't value the meeting.
True.
So when I think that when we see this meet our connection, our weekly connection as leaders, getting on the same page, when we see that as the most important thing, will show up. One of the things that, and this will really resonate, and I see this with our team, is that when it's a client facing meeting, everybody somehow seems to get there on time, and show up and they're
Mhm.
ready. But when it's a soccer game for their kid, like, well, the meeting ran over, or it's dinner with the family, 6 o'clock p.m. It's not as important, but I think when when I'm all engaged and I want to be on time, it's the same thing for me. When I got other things going on, it's like, oh, she's late, gives me more time. I got more time, to get these other things done. Again, I'm not valuing the connection. I'm not putting importance on that meeting. I'm not showing up to that meeting in the clear headspace.
Mm.
And so this all comes back to what happens to me when you show up late and I'm frustrated. It's like, I got these 5 things that I need to talk to her about. We got these things hanging out,
Mhm.
and you're in a, you come into the, come in a half hour late, and now you're in a space, and then I'm in a space, I'm frustrated because, you know, we're not connecting, and then like a lot of times in our relationship, well, if you sense that I'm frustrated, then you're feeling that frustration, right? And we just kind of start looping and
Yeah, it's like a downward spiral.
downward spiral, yeah. And in order to kind of get through these conflicts, like we have to go to sometimes head on, right? And those are the meetings where we might end up crying a little bit, or
Maybe a
having
little
to,
bit of raised vocals.
yeah, yeah, raising our voice at each other's.
Well, and this one's a really real example because it was probably about a month and a half ago that you and I had kind of a head to head with this specific topic. And it's like, hey, you're feeling the push of Isabel, you're not putting the weight and the importance on this one to one that there needs to be. And I'm feeling the push of, well, Michael, you've asked me to step up in this role, and I don't have the time or space to
Hmm.
even, go to the bathroom in the middle of the
Yeah,
day because I
yeah,
got so back to back and I need to get stuff done, right?
yeah, yeah,
And so it's like you and I really had to like come together and be like kind of explode for a minute and both of us share how we're feeling about the situation and then meet each other with like I mean, I had to come to the table and be like, "Yeah, I'm not putting the importance that there needs to be on this 1-hour
yeah,
meeting,"
yeah,
right? And then, vice versa, you'd be like, "Yeah, there is a lot on your plate. Like, what can I take off your plate right now? And
yeah,
how can I help you, have some more margin and all of that stuff?"
yeah, yeah. So, and for me, uh, you know, interpersonal dynamics were very similar people. You know,
Yeah, there's this one
even
too.
though, uh,
He thinks we're very
yeah,
similar. Just kidding.
uh,
We are very similar,
they're
but
very
that can
we're
be a
very
little
different. Yeah,
that can be
but
yeah.
here's what I would say is, and I talk about this all the time. I love the 2-year-old child, right?
Mhm.
I love when you're with a 2-year-old child and they pick up a cup, or 1 year, 1.5-year-old, they don't even know what it is.
Yeah.
It just becomes a toy to them, or it becomes the next invention that they're coming up with, and the kid just. And I think that in relationship is so important. When I come to a meeting and you're late, instead of me going into judgment, like I
Yes.
know why she's late. She's been packing her calendar too tight. I got all these judgments, right? And I'm already feeling,
And you're making those judgments based off of your experience, especially with me
well, in the
because you're
past
like
experience.
right, because you're like, "She's so similar to me."
So if I could be more like a child, I could look at it with new eyes. I
Mm,
like the acronym, like just looking at it with wonder, awe and wonder.
yeah.
There is an acronym behind that. I make stuff up sometimes, but there is an acronym. We're not going to go on that today. It's not that important. But awe and wonder,
Yeah.
that childlike eyes, the childlike wonder. Like how do I lean in? Like you're coming into the meeting and a lot of times when you or I are late, we may be feeling the pressure, or we might have just got out of a real difficult client situation or a teammate situation.
Mhm.
And so you're coming in kind of, you know, maybe a little frazzled, a little bit, you know, again, we're growing the business. We've not been to this place before. So all of the problems in a business are the leader's problems,
Mhm.
you know, especially like if you own a business, I'm going to tell you this. If you own a business, you own all the issues in the business. They're all your issue, you know. I think as we have leaders like you that have grown so fast and are leading a large team, that's because you've owned all the issues. Like you're like, I'm going to not let any of these fall by the wayside. But sometimes as you grow and it gets bigger and bigger and bigger, that weight and that pressure, and you used to be able to control it all and now you can't.
Mhm.
And then now it gets to the place of surrender. You got to get to this place of surrender. And I see that like in myself, but when I show up to that meeting and I'm in judgment about why she's late, what she's processing versus like, hey, Isabelle, you know, like I'm in calm parasympathetic state and I'm just really open to what's going on.
Right.
And then let you tell me versus me telling you like, hey, you're late.
Right.
You know, like
I mean, I
you'll
know
get
I'm
off
late when I'm
you'll
late,
get off the
right?
vibe. But if I'm in awe and wonder and I treat you with kindness and with love and with grace, like you'll start like if you're beating yourself up coming into a meeting, and here's another thing I would say is as owners, as high performance people, and even just in our culture, we're kind of taught to like if you know, pull up your bootstraps, make it all happen. If you mess it up or if you F it up, like, you know, it's all gonna fall apart, right? And that's where we kind of go back into that people pleasing mode because we're thinking about how fearful we are about the situation. It could fall apart if I don't take care of this client, like this client's immediate right now. Why is it immediate right now? You have a meeting with me, it's a one-to-one. Well, I got to solve this. This is a client, you know,
Yeah.
client's more important. So then we're putting more importance on this client situation, which could be handled by, okay, we're kind of at time here. We got some issues. Here are the 3 issues. We're going to meet again in a day. And then you
Mhm.
move that meeting, you know, and instead of running over on that meeting, then you could show up to this meeting and be more present. I think as a leader, and especially with you, because you are my daughter,
Mhm.
make a lot of assumptions, you know, and that's really hurtful. Like, and for me, you know, and then I'll say simultaneously where I go into people pleasing is with my leaders. A lot of times when I'm afraid, I will go into people pleasing. Like I won't ask you the difficult question, or I'll let you, you know, show up to a meeting and like there's tension, but we don't go there,
Yeah.
you know? And you're like, you know, and I don't have to force it to go there, but I could say like it's going to be really helpful if we could get through this because it will have clarity about what's going on. But sometimes we don't have time. So setting a future time together,
Yeah.
you know, instead of me, because one of my shadow behaviors is controlling. I go into control. And so I want to control and then fix it mode. I want to fix it now. We got to figure this out now. And I do that relational with you. And how does that work?
Not very well.
Yeah. I mean, what happens to you
I mean, I
when
definitely get into a state then of defense, right? I
yeah,
get super defensive and walls go up and it's like, I don't really want to talk to you right now about this. So
yeah,
let's take some time off, cool down. And I think some of our best moments in the last year have been because we've pushed through like that conflict to then connect.
yeah,
And business is personal. Like if you don't create space and time to connect, I mean, people are the asset, especially in our business, right? Like showing up on a day, having great attitudes, moving projects forward, coming up with design inspiration. I mean, that's a big thing. Like to design a space, we're sitting in a beautiful space right now. Like you have to be inspired,
yeah,
like pulling colors together, creative options, like
yeah,
inspiration is huge. And so when you're in that space, when I'm in that space of like, man, like I am just focused on the problem at hand
yeah.
here. I'm late to, 3 of my meetings in the day. I'm feeling defensive
Mm.
and, you're coming in hot with me. And then I'm just like, all right, you know what?
Yeah. I think there's like, when I think of people pleasing, I think of like, uh, I'm in fear when I'm trying to please somebody because what happens is I start making promises to them that I don't really know that I can fulfill versus, you know, we've all heard the under promise over deliver, but I think when I go into that mode of like not asking the difficult question, it's usually because I'm a little bit afraid about something. And
Yeah.
fear is totally normal, right? Like, and fear can be really helpful. But as we evolve and as we want more peace and harmony in our business and more peace and harmony in our life, like we gotta stop that cycle,
Yeah.
that fear cycle. And like we set it up that way. Like when you did you look at your calendar this morning?
Yeah.
Did you like go through and like think of all the things that you're going to be doing and like feel like, oh, I want to really do that meeting or not do that meeting? You ever done that?
I have done that, but I did not do that this morning.
Yeah. So when, take a minute and look at your calendar in the morning,
Mhm.
what's on your calendar as the director of sales and marketing? Does that really need to be? Do you need to be the person doing the first 80 on getting the signage company for the new trailer or, whatever?
Right. And to even add to that point is like looking out in advance, right? Like looking out a week in advance. So let's talk about that because just a minute ago you said something really key. You talked about time. And we didn't go into that, but I think that's really like a pinch point as you grow your business, as you grow your team, like you are just going to have time go. Like it just flies. And then there's like family things and important commitments that you've made and what drives you, what creates inspiration
Yeah.
in you. And so it's like, how do you fit all of that in? Like sometimes I'm like, how the heck do I do this? And so there's been some practical things over the last like 2 months specifically that I've implemented, but like let's talk about that. So one of them is feeling your calendar.
Yeah.
How do you do that?
I mean, just if this morning I just went through and I looked at the different appointments that I had for the day, and it's like, just kind of like, what do I feel energy around that? Like that meeting is going to be, something that I could have had somebody else do because I would rather meet with you. Or there's a big deadline, a big large project that's coming up, and then I'm over here working on, you know, running to get, gift cards for something, or I'm out shopping for the quarterly and getting, you know,
Presents
some
for the
snacks or
team and
presents. Yeah,
yeah.
presents for the team. And yet the largest project we ever have. It's getting ready to close in 2 days, and I'm spending time on this. So I think there's as we evolve in the business, we get sucked into doing a lot of things when we're starting off. We get sucked into doing a lot of things because that's all we have is us, right? But
Mhm.
then as you bring the team along, as you are uh like taking over the role, I gotta let you take it over. And
Mhm.
I gotta let you fail. A lot of times I think for me, one of my growth opportunities right now, you know, and has been for a long time, and I have grown a lot in it, is just letting people make their own decisions, letting
Mhm.
people, but as a
Which
coach,
is really challenging for you because you're like, I want to control this, or I've been in this business for
yeah, I
a
want
long
to please the
time. And
people. I want the people to be happy. I want the job to go right, right?
yeah.
I don't want to have them, put the staircase on the wrong side of the deck and then, oh, or I don't want to have the homeowner sign a
Okay, that
scope.
I don't think that one's ever happened, but the one maybe that has happened is grade was
I think we
measured
built a deck
incorrectly.
on the wrong house one time, didn't we?
No, we what? Stop it. No, we did
The
not do
neighbors
that.
come home. They're like, man, we got a new
That
deck.
is some story somewhere else. We did
Yeah.
not do that. But like
I'm
what
sure it's happened.
I'm sure that's happened to builders before, but no, we have never done that. I mean, it takes a few days to build a deck. But anyway, but one that has happened is like, right, grade is mismeasured. And so the grade's not put correctly in the plans. And we build a staircase that's supposed to have 10 steps and we get down and we need actually 11 steps on it, right? And
Yeah.
it's like, it's not quite even. And so we've got to take it apart and redo it and stuff
Well,
like that
usually our
happens.
builders like get to that point and they know
They know
this
because they
isn't
put the
enough steps,
stringers
and so
up and it's
they're
like,
frustrated with it.
yeah.
So yeah, I think we just put all these demands on ourselves. They're demands that of like perfectionism that we want to not have anything fail. Versus, I think as a leader, I mean, and as we're evolving and growing as leaders, we let our people kind of tell us what their plan is. Like, what's your plan, Isabel? And if I'm more open about that, or if I'm just more curious,
Yeah.
if you can bring more curiosity in your relationships, like you're gonna have a lot more harmony in your relationships. And when I say curious, like I can't come to the conversation with I've already got the answer, which is hard to do, right? I've been doing this for a long time. I've got a lot more sales appointments under my belt. I got a lot more experience leading people under my belt. So how do I show up in awe and wonder and really ask questions and bring out of you what you're thinking about doing, and then ultimately
Yes.
getting you to come to your own thing? And now if if you're getting ready to walk into the middle of the busy road in a decision that you're getting ready to make, I'm probably going to ask some additional questions and get you to think about maybe another way, like, oh, that's a good idea, or that's a way that you could do it. But what do you think about this? And so offering in something else and then letting you.
Mhm.
So I'm really good at doing this with clients, but not as good at doing it with my team. And
Mm.
what I would say, the reason it comes back to that is I'm still trying to control. I'm in fear, in people pleasing mode. I don't want to, I don't, or I just want you to like handle it all and I don't want to be accountable to it.
Hmm.
So both of those keep me from sometimes being in awe and wonder and just being like curious and what's going on, what's happening. And then on the other side of it, like we got to get, me and you talk about this, like we got to get stuff done. Right. You
Yeah,
know?
that's always my big push is
Yeah.
like, I just need to get this done, like
Yeah.
solved, boom. And I'm
Yeah.
really good at getting that. I'm really good at solving problems.
Right.
And you're really good at stepping back and saying, okay, what's the bigger picture here and challenging me in some of those ways. And so I think that's where our one-to-ones have been helpful.
Yeah.
And I think the challenge that came up around that, it's even been really good for us to dive deeper into our relationship and knowing each other.
Yeah.
And I mean, I do a lot of things that are similar to what you do, but my motives sometimes are
Yeah.
different. And so you're right, coming with curiosity is really helpful because you can judge it right off the bat, but you won't know the reason why.
And I know for me, the more I'm like the desire to deliver a good product or the desire to please somebody, like that in and of itself isn't necessarily bad. But what when I go into people pleaser mode, like it's like the difference between like I want to deliver an excellent product versus I want to please this person. And in the moment, I'm not consciously aware that I'm overpromising and putting myself in a position where I can't really deliver on that. I don't know that I can deliver on it. It's like the homeowner's like, hey, we want to do this change order and we want to get it done. We still want to hit the finish deadline, but the change order requires me to order a cabinet. And if I say, oh yeah, because I want to get the sale, I want to
Yeah.
make it happen. I say, yeah, we'll do that, And then I put myself in a position. Now I got to go back and find out if I can get the cabinet. And I didn't qualify it at all. And if I just said to you, hey, there's, my hope is that we can get it done by then, but I need to go back and find out, is that cabinet available? And then I say to him, there's no guarantee, but I'm going to do the research. I'm going to get back with you by the end of the day, or I'm going to or if I know I can get back to them by the end of the day, I'm going to tell them I'm going to get back to you by the end of tomorrow. And then I get
Mhm.
back to them by the end of the day. It's no problem. Now I'm taking the pressure off myself. I'm consciously aware enough that like, I want to give the client what they want. I want to please the client. I want to make sure that the client gets what they want, but I'm not going to compromise my life. Now I'm working at 8 o'clock at night to
Yep.
get that cabinet ordered because I didn't give myself that extra time. And that's the difference between being like, in my mind, like in full on fear mode. And what fear kind of generates is like, you ever been chased by a bear or,
I have not.
or had an accident, been in a car accident, and what happens, or some fear, like, hear somebody break in the house at night or,
Mhm.
something like that. Our trajectory goes from like wide angle, we can see everything, to like just down and really narrow. And in that fear state, all you can see is what's wrong. And you really can't see the other options. And that happens in my relationship with you is like when I feel like you're upset and I'm wanting to fix you, or you're in a hard place and I'm wanting to fix you, I get fixated on trying to fix you rather than just being open and like, maybe we can do both. And a lot of times we can. There's always a third way. There's always a third way. We always think it's like your way, my way. But what if there's a third way?
The highway.
Yeah, the highway. So your way and my way, or the highway.